G'day Warbanders, and today I'm going to do a faction tier list for the game that started all, for me anyway. I got a PC for this game, and I'm going to do a faction tier list today to honor it. Right, boys? So, the first faction that we're going to talk about is Kerje and A tier. Horse archers? No, actually B tier, because you know why? Because they're not as powerful. The horse archers, while good, they're not that good compared to Bannerlord. They're not as powerful. They usually get taken over. It depends on how the cards are, given out. And Swadia usually, in my experience, takes Halma, or the Kerjates, they take Durham. So it can go either way. Their strategic position is still great. They're in the corner of the map. Their cities are kind of sparse though, but still they pose a very great threat. Their infantry is piss poor, basically peasants, but their cavalry is okay. Like their melee cavalry is it's decent, but then the horse archer is like the main thing for them. So yeah, they get a solid B tier. If you like shooting on horseback, that's a faction for you, but I wouldn't choose them because the early game sucks for them, because I think they have the fastest bandits in the game, which are the horse archer bandits. I think, I'm not sure, but I don't know their exact name, but a pretty deadly place to start in as a new player. So I wouldn't recommend them as like an S tier nation or faction. All right, next faction we got Nords, solid S tier, man. Huskarls all the way. For the Viking fanboys out there, yeah, this faction's pretty good. Not as good as Swadia, but I'm going to be fair in this one and say Swadia is still... Swadia is not S tier in this tier list. But onto the point, or the relevancy. The Nords, they're in a great position. They have good infantry, as I said before. Huskarls, they have okay archers, no cavalry, by the way, no cavalry, like basically no cavalry. That really brings them down, because cavalry in Warband is everything. You always need a contingent of cavalry, I reckon, for fast mobility. But they can hold without cavalry. I have beaten Nords. It's just because like the AI, how it handles its army composition is different. So they may be great and swinging all around, but then they have peasants in their armies, and that just brings them down, But yeah, solid S tiers, the Nords. Wouldn't choose them as a new player though. Those Sea Raiders are deadly. Okay? Sea Raiders are deadly. Probably the strongest bandit in the game. You don't want to start there as a new player. As a veteran? Yeah, sure. But no. Not as a new player. Rhodoks, solid C. I want to put them in D tier, but they're better than that, so I'm going to put them in C. Rhodoks are pretty terrible. Spears and crossbows, that's what Rhodoks are. And they're infantry based. I don't think they have cavalry too. So they're basically an infantry faction. They're only good at holding up in castles. That's all they're good at. Right? Those spears and crossbows, yeah, they're alright in a castle. So yeah, but they have a good strategic position. They never fall, really. They do fall to Swadia if Swadia is lucky, and if you're a player and you're serving Swadia, you can kill Rhodoks pretty easily. Like, I can kill them like 5-1. I can kill 5 of theirs for one of my Swadia knights or something like that. So yeah, Rhodoks, they have mountain bandits, a pretty mid-tier bandits, level, mid-tier band, so they're not the easiest start, but they're an okay start. So if you like the infantry factions, you can choose Rhodoks, but Nords are superior in the infantry side of things in Warband. So yeah, Rhodoks, solid C tier. Alright, next we got the who's these guys? Oh, the vague
long live the
years.
king.
Yeah, the vague years, sorry. That's the vague years. Now, they have versatility, so I'm going to put them in solid B tier. You know why? Because versatility. They can be anything, really. They have okay cavalry, have okay archers, they have okay infantry. They have good two-handers, so they have a shock troops, they have two-handers. with those big giant long axes. Yeah, pretty good. I would choose them. I'd actually probably choose them for a next playthrough. But yeah, they seem to thrive. They're in the corner of the map, very stable but very peaceful. I never see them really take a lot of land. Or they do, but they just lose it. So, you know, Warband is very balanced in terms of its faction control. One faction won't take a lot of land without the players' involvement, really. But Vegas, solid faction. Go choose them, boys. I don't know they're bandits, but I don't think they're that powerful. They're bandits, so you can choose them as a new player if you want. Swadia, you know what I'd do? I'd put them in S tier, but they don't deserve S tier. You know why? Because their map position is terrible. Center of the map, King Harles is having feasts every 2 seconds, and your villages are burnt. Like every Swadian village is looted. You can't get recruits as fast enough. But their cavalry troop line is god tier. It defeats everything almost. It's so versatile. It beats everything. They can dismount to go for sieges as well, and they're pretty decent in sieges as well. The only thing where they suffer is probably the Nords. Say if you don't have enough Swadian knights, you might get destroyed by Nords, basically. So yeah, they're strong contenders. Like I think the strongest faction they go up against is probably Nords. Nords and Swadians is the classic matchup, and they're the best faction to start in the early game because they only have looters and forest bandits really. And while they do get gangbanged, they're a good faction to fight for if you want constant warfare. If you want to be in the center of the action, you want to play as the underdog. Because Swadia can lose. They can lose a lot of their lands. I've been in a situation where they only have Pravin left. Or Pravin and Suno left. And that position is pretty terrible. And all their like half their lords desert King Harles, bro. All the beta males desert King Harles. So yeah. That's why they're A tier. Solid faction, probably almost the greatest faction in the game. Bordering near the greatest faction. I'll say the Nords are probably the best faction almost. But their position, terrible. Okay. So in the last faction, the last faction is the Saranids, and they're going in D tier, baby. D tier. They suck, bro. They're dog shit. They're like Azerite dog shit, right? Complete utter dog shit. Infantry, terrible. Archers, okay. Cavalry, okay, like pretty good. I've heard Mamelukes are pretty good. They can actually stand up against Swadian knights, but the AI doesn't field enough of them. Because I have problems with you guys in the comment section. You say like, oh, in a fair fight, they would win. But in Warband, that's never the case. We're talking about the strategic map and the battlefield. So when Saranids go to war, they usually lose. They don't lose a lot of land because they're so far away. They only have a few factions to contend with. I think 2. And they're not really the target. They're not really a target. They usually get left alone. But when I go to war with Saranids, I lose like barely anyone. I lose like one dude, and he's probably a Swadian peasant. Like that's how bad they are and how good Swadi is. So yeah, not much to say in Saranids unless you like being, you know, the desert boys. And also not a great faction to starting as a new player. They're bandits. Again, I think they're mounted or desert bandits. Yeah, that's right. They're called desert bandits, and they're pretty fast. They can catch you, and they can kill you. So not as powerful as Sea Raiders, but they're fast, so they can catch up with you. So yeah, solid D tier for them. And as I said before, my previous tier list for Bannerlord, you can win as Saranids. You can min-max them if you want to. But do you want to min-max them? Probably not. Probably not, mate. And I wouldn't min-max them because they're boring. Their troop trees is hard to work with. So yeah, that's my tier list, guys. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. I also noticed that only 80% of you or 90% of you are unsubscribed. So if you're watching the video for the first time, please give us give us the click of that red button. But I'm not demanding anything of you guys. You can watch my videos all you want. So yeah, that's my tier list for Warband factions in 2021. And yeah, see you guys. More content to come, boys. While you forever.
Almost harvesting season. Almost harvesting season.
Away with you, vile beggar.
It's almost harvesting season.
I will drink from
Harvesting season.
today. The gods will decide your
Harvesting
Away with
season.
you, vile beggar.
That's a nice
Harvesting
have on your
season.
edge of sun. Edge
Away with you, vile
Edge.
beggar.
Less talking, more
Harvesting season.
Away with you, vile beggar.
What's this then, eh?
Away with you, vile beggar.
Harvesting season. 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 Harvesting season.